Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7. This is episode number 1867, and, you know, when I think about episodes like this, I had to say I've never really even considered, in the 5 years that I've been doing this show, the possibility that I would be doing a show like this. It's strange to think about, but be that as it may, this is obviously not going to be like a normal episode of the show because someone has passed away. It's not somebody who appeared in Star Wars movies or was crucial to the making of this franchise that we all know and love. In fact, it turns out to be somebody in the podcasting community who is no longer with us. A gentleman named Steve Kirk who passed away earlier this week. Steve was a podcaster in his own right. He was part of the team that produced the San Diego Sabers radio podcast, part of the Commonwealth network of shows. And, of course, because I just mentioned San Diego Sabers, I want to tell you about that organization. Make sure I get it right here, so I'm going to read from the printout just to be sure. San Diego Sabers is San Diego's premier lightsaber training combat group. Our mission is to promote and teach lightsaber combat and dueling skills by helping each other learn and grow through acceptance, respect, and a positive attitude. We combine aspects of kendo, wushu, European, and Asian swordplay techniques and other arts into our practice. This makes what we teach a true mixed martial arts discipline that we call Saber martial arts. We help each student determine the path that fits them best and develop along that path as far as they want to go, whether it's just for fun or they want to be fully competitive. And I know from having talked with Steve about this in the past that it's also about personal development. It's about being a better, more confident person, a stronger person, not necessarily stronger in the physical sense, which, naturally is a part of it, but also in the emotional and mental and spiritual sense as well. He was a supporter of other podcasters as well with his technical knowledge and even his contributions. I know, for example, that he was one of the supporters of Tim McMahon of Less Than 12 Parsecs and helping him to get to his first Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. And as for me, he was an early patron of the show and eventually a patron emeritus. And, even on Facebook, his support was beautiful, especially in light of the fact that both of my boys are in karate. In fact, Quizmaster Joe, who you all know, is about to receive his black belt later this month. And younger brother Scorekeeper Declan is well on the way to his black belt journey, has a red belt himself, which puts him 2 belts away from being a black belt. Steve was a regular commenter on anything that I put out there about the achievements that those 2 wonderful boys were making, because he knew and understood the value of what those kinds of programs are about very intimately. Now, I finally had the chance to meet him in person at a podcast event during Star Wars Celebration Chicago, and he was one of the people that I interviewed for Celebration and asked the question that I'd been asking of everyone when it comes to Star Wars: what do you know for sure? I played this on June 1st. That was the episode that featured his answer, but I'd like to share that with you here again. So without further ado, here is Steve Kirk's answer about what he knows for sure when it comes to Star Wars.
All right, I'm Steve Kirk from San Diego Sabers and the San Diego Sabers radio podcast.
Awesome. All right, so here's the big question. When it comes to Star Wars, what do you know for sure?
What do I know for sure? That whatever they tell us next, whatever they show us, whatever they create for us, will be something I cannot predict. It will be unexpected, and ultimately, I will love it. I believe that to my soul, because they've done an amazing job proving that over the last 5 years since the Disney buyout.
Love the answer. Thank you
Thank you very much.
So if people want to find out more about what you do, where can they look for you online?
They can look for us at sandiegosabers.net. We're a lightsaber combat group. We also do a podcast, which is on the website, and iTunes and Google. And we love mixed martial arts, lightsaber combat, bringing it to real life, helping people's lives.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Alan.
So there you go, Steve Kirk of San Diego Sabers, when I interviewed him earlier this year about what he knows for sure when it comes to Star Wars. And it's kind of unusual that this is coming up again this week when I've been talking about similar ideas, I guess, about how we approach the new things that are coming to us in the realm of Star Wars. I guess there is maybe a case to be made that, the answer is naive, should we say? I mean, what are the chances that you could possibly love every single thing that comes out, to not be critical or, feel like you have, negative critiques or say, they could have done that better or something like that. I'm sure that if I had pressed him and said, is there anything that you haven't liked or that just kind of bugged you about the stuff that they've put out in the last 5 years, I'm sure there would have been something. I'm sure if I had done that kind of digging, there would have been an answer, to be sure. But it really was more the case that his focus was on joy, that his focus was on finding what he loved about Star Wars. And, it seemed like he did really genuinely love everything that's come out since the Disney takeover, and more power to him. That's fantastic. So to be in such a joyful place and to know that he is not going to be around to see the culmination of this Skywalker saga with The Rise of Skywalker, it hurts. It really hurts. And that obviously pales in comparison to the hurt that people around the country and possibly even the world are feeling, because his influence was widely felt. Tributes are pouring in on social media and in Facebook groups where people discuss podcasts and how he had been supportive from an emotional standpoint, a technical standpoint. Just, he was an all-around right person and wanted to lift people up. I think that was really where his heart was, and I'm so sad that he is no longer with our podcasting community. We have lost someone very special. And so, as I wrap this up, as I do on all of our podcasts where we talk about someone who has passed on, we'll simply remind you of the Meister Eckhart quote that goes something to the effect of, if the only prayer you ever said was thank you, that would be enough. And so you may not have had the benefit of experiencing Steve Kirk or being touched by the work that he did in this world, but I have. And so if for no better reason than because I have and other podcasters have, if you would kindly take a moment and whoever you were talking to in this universe, if you would mind whispering a quiet thank you, I would greatly appreciate it. And that is going to do it for this episode of the show. Thank you very much for joining me for it as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.